Hi, I'm Troy with Rocky Mountain Geek Tank and the soon-to-be-released new game review show called Major Gaming. I'm here to talk to you about a game that's currently on Kickstarter for the next couple of weeks called Venom Assault. It's a deck building game. No, not that kind of deck building. No, not that kind of deck either. That's the kind of deck we're talking about. A deck of cards. So in case you've never heard of a deck building game, well, it's a game that during the process of playing, you are building, you guessed it, your deck. This game can be played solo, with just one person, or with up to 5 teammates. The point of the game is to build your Special Forces team, represented by your deck, and take on the evil world terrorist organization known as Venom. Some of you may remember a 80s cartoon show where they fought serpent terrorists as well, and they were a military-based organization taking them on. This is very similar, borderlining parody, I would say, although as a parody it still takes itself seriously to some degree, which is a lot of fun. So if you like that type of theme, if you like that type of nostalgia, I think you should definitely check out this game. If you're into deck building games in general, this definitely falls into that category as well. Much like many deck building games that already exist, this has a built-in element to where you are purchasing your cards with your purchase power with your starting hand. Each player starts with the same starting hand of cards, and you only have a couple of statistical probabilities of what that first hand's going to be, and then that second hand's going to be. And then from that, you're going to be purchasing from the pool of cards available. The pool of cards that are available is constantly changing. As a card is purchased, that card is refreshed, because there are quite a few cards in the starting deck of cards to be put into your deck as you build it. That's going to change quite often. So there's a lot of replayability in that aspect alone. The other aspect that adds a lot of replayability is there are several missions that change the parameters of what you're trying to do in the game to succeed. These things could be the objects you're trying to find that are on the board, or it could be the number of villains you need to kill before you can call yourself a winner of the game. It's quite a few different options that could happen in it. Just let me say, if you already like the idea of an 80s anti-terrorist military organization taking on the terrorist organization trying to take over the world, and you like the aspect of deck building, well, you should already be in on this game. So it's just extra ammo on the ammo dump pile for you with all these extra missions and the replayability of it. And that's in the base set alone. If this game does really well, I can completely imagine there being additional aspects that come out to just add more layers of replayability to this game. Now, the game is what is called cooperative, or a co-op game. It is the players versus the game. So either the players win or the game wins. There is a layer to that as well, where you keep track of victory points separately. So if you are not so much a team player and really do need to have someone who can step forward and say, I won the entire game, well, that's built in. Personally, I think a game should be all or nothing, because if you add a layer of competitiveness to it, then it creates the opportunity for there to not be a team player on the team. Now, this has its own interesting levels of complexity to it and challenge, if you like that type of thing. I just think that it sets itself up for you to get that type of player on your group that is willing to let the entire team lose if it means otherwise them not winning. As a play group, you can decide if that's an aspect of the game you want to even bother calculating into it. It is an optional aspect of it. Thematically, I really like this game more than other deck building games I've played. I've played a couple of other ones, and I tend to not get drawn into the theme of them as much as more of just the statistics of looking at what's the best way to build the deck that I'm going to have as the cards keep reoccurring and crafting that. So with this game, it was neat because I felt a little more invested in the characters that are there. Of course, the TV show that it's based on was one of my favorites when I was growing up, so I'm a bit biased in that aspect. Looking at value amount. Well, the base level that you would want to get into on the Kickstarter to get a copy of this game would be $45, plus shipping's another $11. $56 for this game is what I would imagine you would see it for about in the store, if not more. Most games like this I could see going for 60 to 70 easily, because it has its own board, it has its own dice elements to it, has its own decks. There's enough pieces in this thing that I can see it costing that much. Not a bad deal jumping into Kickstarter for $56 if this looks like the type of game that you think you would be interested in. On top of that, if the game starts reaching its goals and its stretch goals, you're going to get additional stuff that you wouldn't get when you buy the game in the store. It makes it completely worth it in that way. If you really want to get into it, they have a $400 level where you get the copy of the game, but on top of that, you get to work with one of the artists and develop your own card with your own likeness. So you can make yourself either a hero or a villain in the game and be a part of that way. Pretty exciting aspect of a game, especially if it even turns out to be like 1/10 as popular as the most popular game that's out there, which you already know the one I'm talking about because it's that popular, I don't even need to say it. But to be able to jump in at that level and have a card made after yourself, pretty impressive. So that's another aspect you can look into. There's only like a couple of weeks left, though, from when this video is posted for you to do this. So you'll want to rush and get into that as quickly as possible. So this has been your brief coverage, recap, review, talk about Venom Assault, which is currently on Kickstarter. Go check it out right here.